What's up, guys? It's Richie Rich back yet again, and this time I'm bringing you a review of the 1994 romance erotic drama film Jason's Lyric. Be sure to check this out. So they do say, as presented on here in the middle, love is courage. One knows more than love than your man Richie Rich. So yeah, 1994 saw the release of Jason's Lyric. And for those of people who don't know, this is a very kind of like underrated, hidden title from the 90s. Yeah, I'd honestly say across the board, you lot can tell me. I don't think not too many people know of this like urban version of Romeo and Juliet. A lot of people know of obviously Poetic Justice, which definitely I'm gonna talk more about that later to the end about how it compares to the smash hit featuring Tupac Shakur and the great Janet Jackson. But like I feel like a lot of people know it's like a very like rare gem, like the diamond in the rough, if you say, but it's a very very like a classic romance film. And like this was around the time from obviously the big sensational smash hit Boys in the Hood. This and a lot of other notable films in the 90s, like Friday, which I've talked about, Menace to Society, Panther, Strapped, Dead Presidents. There was a strong like series of hood movies from like the early 90s. Definitely thank Boys in the Hood for this, to possibly like the early 2000s start to dry up with. I think the last one was Baby Boy featuring Snoop Dogg and Tyrese. But just think from that decade, from you put Boys in the Hood in the beginning to Baby Boy, there was so many hood films, and obviously, with like the black experience, watching the hood films, I never grew up in the projects on projects, so obviously I can't relate to it completely, but I have, like cousins and like friends when I used to go to the States who knew about how the street life was like. They used to explain to me what went down. So as they told me their kind of experience, I would watch this, Menace to Society, Boys in the Hood, and I could just see the imagery of like what these folks in the hood would do to survive. Yeah, and also what you gotta give a hand to these like black noble kind of hood films that were coming around this time. They were very very, you gotta like really give a hand to them, like for always putting this kind of like all-star cast. It happened with Boys in the Hood, Ice Cube, Lawrence Fishburne, Morris Chestnut, Cuba Gooding Jr. Here we have a strong selection, which I'll go through them individually later. We have Mr. Alan Payne, Jada Pinkett. So I will touch here and there and about the other supporting characters, but let me get to the first main two leading actors playing Jason and Lyric. So we go on to the leading man, Mr. Alan Payne. Alan Payne, for those who don't know, he like a lot of black, the young black, like male leading actors, they were appearing in a lot of like different TV sitcoms and different black films at the time, because as I've said before, at this time, if you were not Denzel Washington, a lot of these kind of studios didn't really want to like, they didn't want to look for like, okay, okay, this could be another like big black actor. No, the safe bet for Hollywood at this time was always to go to Denzel. You know, he was always on the Hollywood radar. So if they always needed, like, say if they had a script and said, okay, we need like a nice black, good-looking, charismatic black dude, you would always safe bet would be Denzel. You know, and remember around this time, Will Smith was still in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You know, this was in 1994, so this would have been the 4th season of Fresh Prince. So, you know, this was obviously before Men in Black, Independence Day, the Wild Wild. I'm not gonna say Wild West. That let's not say about it there, but like Enemy of the State. You know, so you know those films, as I've said in the past, those broke Will Smith out, kind of like the TV genre, into that movie star status. But the safe bet all the time was to go to Denzel Washington. So like a slew of number of actors, you know, Alan Payne. I first saw Alan Payne, even though I can't remember if it was New Jack City or it was the because Alan Payne actually played in Different World. You know, in the last seasons of Different World, you know, he did some appearances in that show. He may have played in Living Single, but I know to a world like a lot of people saw him as New Jack City as G Money. I still think I first saw him was the the episode where he plays as Will Smith's rival in Fresh Prince, My Brother's Keeper. You know, where like they're both trying to get like Will and Alan, they both got that rivalry, competitive rivalry, so they can get scouted, so they can possibly break into the NBA. Yeah, you know, so I mean, so like with like Alan Payne, it's like sometimes when you say like sometimes if you got the look, you already it makes it easier to like be like the star. You know, Alan Payne definitely like he looks the part, man. When you see him, he's like this is like that classical, like handsome like black woman would be crawling on him, to get a piece of that pain, get a piece of that pain. You know what I mean? So he suits there as that nice kind of like black leading actor, and it's like he where he plays this character is really nice, because if you've seen him in G Money in New Jack City, he was kind of like playing like the second fiddle to Wesley Snipes. You get what I mean? Like Wesley Snipes was the one who, I wouldn't say carried New Jack City, but he was the main, like I said, the success story from that film. Like he was seen as just such a big menace who like basically controlled like the whole of like Harlem. So it's really nice from how Alan Payne was playing like the second main supporting actor in that film. He jumps into this to play his like main billing top actor, because I don't know even if before this he had been given like a film that he has to carry, because he, after this I saw him, I think he appeared in Vampire in Brooklyn. He appeared in that film with Chris Rock where Chris Rock's playing, I think he's trying to be a rapper. He appeared in I'm not too, I believe it was Panther. But he played in a few other like let's say hit or misses films. But I think this is the main film that he was actually the main protagonist of the film. So yeah, so accompanying Alan Payne holding his hand is Lyric, being played by Jada Pinkett Smith. Cool. As I know I said Jada Pinkett Smith, I should have said Jada Pinkett, because this time she was Jada Pinkett. But the Small Ebony Beauty, man. I've actually had some people like say they can't stand Jada Pinkett, but I've never got that kind of thing. I've always had like an affinity of love for Jada Pinkett. I first saw her in the last seasons of Different World. Like that was the first appearances I saw her. And what some people don't know is that Jada Pinkett was actually, it's funny how things work. She was actually meant to be in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. The season that Nia Long was Will Smith's main current girlfriend, that was actually meant to be Jada Pinkett. But they went ahead, the studio went ahead, I believe it was NBC or Fox, they went ahead with choosing Nia Long because she was like a couple of inches taller than Jada Pinkett, because Will Smith's like about 6'2". He already towered over Nia Long, so they didn't think that matchup would work because Jada Pinkett was like, acres smaller than Will. And fast forward to now, and them two actually got hitched together and have a lovely family. You know what I mean? So it's like love covers any boundaries, people. But yeah, what I've always loved about Jada, I've always just kind of loved her, like her kind of feistiness. If anyone's ever got that, with Jada, I love them scenes. I promise if I ever get the Different World, the last seasons, I will promise you, members of the Rich Team, I will review it. Because I'm a huge, humongous fan of Different World. But like what I always loved with Jada Pinkett, she was someone who just didn't take trash. She was, if you want to talk about them women activists back in the day, she was one of them. She was all about like treating not just women but black women like with respect. She wasn't like I said, there is always like with the whole the black like community and like the black woman, there's some black women who definitely fit that stereotype. There's some of these ones are just put on to walk this planet we called Earth and do nothing. I've seen them many times. Have you heard about the Village Girl? Or have I mentioned her before? But like there is some of them are not doing nothing with themselves, and when they find out, it's way too late. But what I love with Jada Pinkett, as you can see in how she plays this character, Lyric, and even her own personality, because she even brings that out while she's playing this character, while she's playing this, because it's basically homage to herself. She's someone who's just very, true to herself. She's not a sellout. You know what I mean? She's basically, stays with, keeps her own mind and focus of what she wants to achieve, because how she plays Lyric in this is she's a dreamer. She wants to, because it's similar how in kind of like I will touch on this more about how like Janet Jackson's character playing playing the one against Tupac Shakur. She thinks like all the black men are garbage because a lot of them are gangbangers and just doing nothing with their lives, man. So she finds it very difficult to find like a man she can trust, a man she even knows she will still be maybe still with us in the next like month or so. So she kind of resists and just focuses on herself. So she has this kind of anger of, even if she sees a man she likes, she doesn't want to kind of be with them, because she basically puts like a kind of label saying they're all alike. And what's the great dynamic is how how Jason is. Jason's one of them good brothers. He's one of them guys who he's, because how the story works is basically like there's a big like main like from the early moments of the film, Forrest Whitaker, who fantastic actor, saw him in the Great Black Panther this year. I sorry give this the Black Panther. He's so great. But he actually he plays Alan Payne's dad in this, Jason's dad. So the films earlier, this is when Jason's smaller and he's young. Like he's with Jason's mom. And he ends up going to a family. Everything's all cool. Everything's nice like ice cream. But he ends up getting enlisted to the Vietnam War. Then what happens is he ends up returning back after Vietnam's done. They say, look, return back to your family. He ends up losing, his leg, and because of that, I think that severe, kind of tragedy what happens to him. He ends up becoming an alcoholic, and he's so destructive to the family. The wife, played by Susan Douglas, she starts to see that this is starting to become like a volatile relationship, and she tries to like not ever let him, come into the house with the two boys, so like she tries everything just to keep him at the house, and one, tragically night he breaks in and he's basically trying to like, really get physical with, Alan Payne's mom, so I'm Jason's mother, so it gets crazy because like he's like trying to like, why don't you love me before anymore? Is it the leg? Is it the leg? Why don't you love me as we were? We want to be a family. He starts saying all that, and it's just one in this crazy scene. It's so wicked because what happens is the scene just cuts to black, and you just hear a gunshot, because Forrest Whitaker, he had a piece, so it's kind of weird. Like you don't know at the beginning what kind of happened because it just cuts to black. Then fast forward. Jason, the teen, is now an adult man, playing basically Alan Payne. And like what I forgot to mention is, Jason has a brother called Joshua, and Joshua is played by Bokeem Woodbine, who Bokeem Woodbine was the guy who was in Life. Probably a lot of people would recognize it for. It was called Can't Get Right. So if anyone's seen Life, they'll remember him from that. And also he played Shocker in the new the Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man film, which is, how it is like there's this kind of like Devil May Cry thing, like how like Dante and Virgil, like basically Alan Payne playing Jason, he's like the good brother. Then Bokeem Woodbine playing Joshua is kind of like the it's hard to say he's evil because it's not sometimes like he's just sometimes there's evil who's just someone who's just genuinely like a bad SOB. I feel sometimes it's just the just the way how the street life is presented. It's always been like, why should I waste my time to go like a 9 to 5, persevering in a job, like actually doing something that's like it's a hard struggle, but it's like I can get that get that finance to take care of my family. Why should I bother with that where I can just get this easy access money just by like drug dealing, you know what I mean? Alan Payne, Jason Lee, he wonderfully avoids that because basically because the father figure, is gone, Forrest Whitaker, it's like he's got to take care and kind of like, be, basically not control this family, but he's got to basically like lead this family, because he's the eldest, so where he's doing this, trying to do right by himself, trying to do right by his mom, even with his brother, on the other side, Bokeem Woodbine, he's just involved in just this traffic with these, bombs, like his best friend, Eddie Griffin, again, these are the guys who just like, he links him onto other guys. He ends up linking into how he meets Tretch from Naughty by Nature, who guys are just gangbanging, which ends up biting him in the ass. So like, after the the early prologue where that scene with Forrest Whitaker, abusing the mother, and then it cuts to black. You now see like Jason, as a man, he works in a store, like he basically has a regular job. I believe he's a salesman selling like electronical items, TVs, obviously before like these HD stuff, but selling like them maybe like a stereo system. So them electronical stores, he sells that as like a sale representative, so he does that, and it is like I said, it's not the best, but it's still a job, and he knows with that, he can be like basically the man to help him provide his family. He has a car, and I just love the whole thing. Like he's a black guy, but he's not involving himself with the regular nuisances that occurred in the street life. He was able to steer away from that. Like literally, when he's riding in the middle of the night, before he ends up meeting Lyric, he kind of steers away from all that kind of trouble for the beginning. Then like what happens is in one of the scenes, he ends up going to the diner in the evening, accompanied by, who I forgot to mention, Eddie Griffin, another favorite from one of my favorite TV series, the Def Comedy Jam series. He appears in this as what's his name, Thing's best friend, Jason's best friend. So yeah, man. So like Eddie Griffin appears as he's called Rat in this. I wonder why, but he's like a friend to the family, and that he's like basically got like Jason and Joshua's back, if it's ever needed. But they go to the diner one night, and like very, very beautiful, I forgot to mention, Lisa Nicole Carson, who also appeared in Devil in a Blues Dress, the one who got freaky dicky with Denzel Washington and that. Yeah, that fine Nubian sister, thick. She appears in this, And what's really cool is the scene, Jason Allen Payne, he walks to the diner. Lisa Nicole Carson has her eyes fixated on him, She wanted some pain. She wanted some pain in her life, you know what I mean? But like, he wasn't interested, When she's like eyeing him, he's just looking like I'm older. Then out of nowhere, the very stunning Jada Pinkett playing Lyric, she walks. I think she's walking into just starting her shift, and that's how these two, Jason and Lyric, meet for the first time. So how it kind of works is, guys, like we've all been there. You've been when you've like attracted to a girl that you honestly think like they're the only one. Sometimes naturally you're gonna do whatever it takes to try, obviously get their attention. It's that kind of thing of you just keep persisting until they say, okay, I'll give you a chance, I'll go out here, So that's like a lot of credos for guys, Well, I'm trying to introduce a new credo called She Came to Me, which I'll be unveiling very shortly. But what I mentioned that is Jason basically, once he sees Lyric for the first time, it's like he can't obviously get her out of his mind. You know what I mean? So even that night when she finishes shift, he tries spends time with her. He tries asking her, where you going? Do you want me to give you flowers? What you doing later? He keeps on asking her questions just to get more and more information about her. Even one time I think she's taking a bus, he was like, I'll jump on there with you. It's just like, he keeps on he becomes clingy, you know what I mean? Because which I've always think is cool. If a guy is doing all that, sometimes it's like he's not trying to go for the numbers game. He must really care for this female, but I know some women will be like, oh, he's a bit, he needs to give me some space, but Jason doesn't do that. He's on and on and on. And as the story starts to progress, Jada, because like, he starts to tell jokes, he starts to make her very like comfortable, because Lyric is very scared of like, because she's basically has this kind of like opinion that all the brothers around this area are roughly the same, like I'd say maybe like 2% of the black guys, in the street have actual jobs, and she actually already automatically has opinion that, Jason, he's not doing anything. It's only when it's like he starts to actually see, his kindness and how genuine he is with, with her, Lyric, that, she starts to kind of trust him, like I remember he walks her to the house, he gives her flowers, and she says, okay, I'll give you a shot, and they arrange for like a date later on. And it's like, I'm kind of like a sucker for romance, because like I said, once you've actually kind of been in love, you actually kind of like, how can I say, you kind of like, I appreciate watching these scenes now even more, because like I said, if I watched this, like, let's say, a couple years ago, this time, I kind of didn't know what love was, so you'd kind of be like, this is kind of cheesy, this is kind of corny, what kind of man would, kind of do this for a woman? But it's like, once you're actually in love, you will start to see that it's kind of not your physical kind of being doing these stuff, it's more of like an emotions and I swear, when you get deeply into that, it's very difficult to kind of shy away from being kind of a romantic. And like, from the get-go, Lyric's plan is she just wants to bounce. She literally is like, I want to get out of the ghetto, man. She sees no future, no, possibility to like make a family here, live in harmony. She just wants to, dark. She wants to leave. And she finds it so incredible, but now she's got this, a man in Jason who basically, he wasn't saying it, but he was kind of thinking it, because at this time, he was seeing obviously what happened with his situation with his father, and his friends around the way, and obviously his brother becoming so troublesome. It's like he's in a position now, because now he's got like the woman of his dream. He just wants to, like, in his heart, he wants to basically like just take the beauty and just jet as well, which I honestly cannot blame it. Like, everything's going good and great, these two young lovers are in love. Where the friction comes off between these two is when Bokeem Woodbine playing Joshua, he comes out of like the pen, I think they call it prison, but he comes out then and he just becomes more, mischievous. He doesn't really, it's like all his time spending in jail, he didn't come to reform himself, saying like, I'm going to go college, I'm going to try and make something better in my life. He still goes to that kind of easy access. He goes into robbery, and he just, he ends up getting like his firearm again, and he forms like I wouldn't say an alliance, but he basically is owed a debt to Tretch, who was one of my favorite rap groups, Naughty by Nature. They had this kind of like they've got kind of like a plan to earn some quick bucks, and let me just give you any advice to like people doing this, man. Like, this fast money, easy money it's always gonna come back to haunt you, man. Karma is a bitch, man. So now I've honestly seen it, and this is coming from some of my experience. You gotta work hard to get your money. Easy money is nice, but the worst thing is always to have like you gotta look back of, oh, when are they gonna find out? So he doesn't understand that. Jason does. That's why he stays in his nice, with the TV repair shop job. It may not be like, as glamorous as it is, but at least he's not got to worry about someone, saying, where's my, how comes you haven't, supplied me this at this time? He ain't got to worry about that. And the worst thing I got to mention is their whole scheme, so like, basically like, Joshua has his scheme to do the robbery, with Tretch, who plays Alonzo, and the funny thing is Alonzo is Jada Pinkett's brother in this. So Alonzo is Lyric's sibling. They're brothers and sisters. And they, I believe Jason doesn't find this out till later. So it's that kind of thing of like, because the tension is really bad, because it's kind of like these two families. How Jason loves Lyric, and Alonzo really cannot stand Joshua, Bokeem Woodbine, from the get-go, even when they have this plan to robbery. Because what happens is when the robbery actually goes ahead, Bokeem was messed up. I think he messed up. He messed up his timing to get there, and one of the players end up getting, I think shot because like he screwed it up. So yeah, where it leads on to is like, after that, like the scene, like when they're in the bank, the bank heist, and it doesn't go right at all. Alonzo basically, I remember he ties, Joshua up. It's basically was with a chainsaw, and he was gonna, like, yeah, really, really kind of frightening scene. He looked like he was just gonna gut him. He only had to change his mind, I believe. Like one of the other guys around him told him to stop, because I think they found out that he was dating, like his brother was dating his sister. So like they kind of stopped it. They wanted to film, but like once he's let free, Alonzo just wants to Joshua just wants to get revenge. He wants to basically take all that, because he gets this kind of thing of like Jason loves the woman more than he loves his own family. Like him saying like he wants to leave with this woman. He wants a better life, but he has his mother and he has his brother who basically kind of stuck in a ghetto life, not doing anything. It's like he's putting her over them. Then what's really a cool scene is Jason actually sits down with the mother, and the mother basically says like, look, she's already happy that she's raised like one good son. Why do I need to see both of you go down the drain of this, hood life? It's always gonna get to you just being an acquaintance and being there in the hood, but it's like you're lucky you found someone who is like your perfect match. You two are on the same page. Go with the woman for live, live your life, go get happiness, man. If you two want to leave, leave. It's like you don't owe nothing to us. He's been like a perfect model, a child. So it's like the mother says, go on, go for your dream. And she has his complete blessing. Go with uh what's his name, a lyric. But it's like Joshua's like, no way, Jose, there's no way he's leaving this family dry. One scene that really stuck out to me in this film was there's the scene on the rowing boat, like where because basically Jason got in an altercation with Alonzo, like basically when Alonzo found out that he was basically uh he was basically let's say boning his sister. He was in mental because he couldn't stand obviously Joshua. He was like, I'm gonna get payback. So I remember they had this fight scene in this like bathroom. Jason ends up getting the better hand, but he gets like bruised, he gets messed up. So as they get to kind of the rowing boat, where like they actually plan like that's gonna leave. Jada Pinkett playing lyrics, she was waiting for him. When they actually get there, Jason has a change of mind. He's like, because basically he kind of knows that his brother is basically gonna be no more. If they find out what happened, they're gonna take revenge on the whole family. Some of these guys, like I said, during that, most of them street guys. I'm not really saying they have a low IQ, but they respond to kind of like stupidity. Sometimes like if you go back to the scene like in Boys in the Hood, the reason Ricky end up getting eliminated just because like he barged him for no reason, and he said like, what are you doing? Because he basically talked shit to him, like he stood up for himself. They said we're gonna smoke him. You know what I mean? So it's like some of these guys, they have short fuses, man. Even if you just look at them the wrong way, they're gonna see like, yo, what you saying? What you saying, man? What you saying? Oh, okay, oh, see, yeah, you a thing, man, yeah, And I think around that era, obviously things have changed now. It's not as much as like in your face. There's still some areas in the world that's, there's a lot of these guys that still do this, but at this time, that whole street area, you have to be very careful who you kind of stood up to. But yeah, no, back to that scene. It's a very touching scene because, I love it because there's not too many words that are used here, but Jada already kind of like, establishes that, he's going to stay here. He's obviously going to choose his brother, the guy who's been in and out of prison, who's doing nothing over the beautiful, smart, intelligent woman who wants to get out, escape out of the girl. And it really breaks her heart because it was one of those things, she didn't want to fall in love again, because you can tell by how she is so reserved in this film, similar to how Janet Jackson playing Justice in Poetic Justice. She's very reserved because she already fell in love and is already quickly taken away from her. She felt it was exactly the same. She allowed herself to get fallen in love, and she got heartbroken again. She loved all this happiness. They were in the woods, making making love. They were really, really having like complete happiness, and it all gets just like ruined just because of this family drama. So like the main scene that happens at the end is like the showdown where all the players are there. Alonzo, who is just completely out of his kind of mind. Because like what happens is like Jason and Lyric, they decide obviously to postpone them leaving. Lyric's still gonna leave, but at the moment Jason is just obviously trying to look for his brother. Because Joshua, he basically no shows, but he's at days. He wants to get revenge on, Alonzo Tretch. He wants to kind of like take out all them guys who said, he was worthless, he was nothing. We would have been mad paid if you hadn't, goofed off in that robbery. So, he just comes in with like all hell's blazing. He has these two pieces, like he's Hitman or something. He comes in and he showers that whole house, you know what I mean? And because Alonzo wasn't there. Alonzo was with his girl, Lisa Nicole Carson. So he missed it. But like he comes in, he starts destroying the place. He ends up finding Lyric. And basically what's his name? Jason like kind of like runs to the rescue. you know, at the end, and he confronts, you know, the brother, you know, and it's like, it's that kind of thing of, it felt like he was choosing, well, what Joshua got is like Joshua's choosing the woman of a family, you know, like, you know, blood is thicker than water. Where Alan kind of understood, where Alan got it, it was kind of like, this woman I love, and you, even though you're my brother, it's like you're not bringing in, you're bringing nothing but harm to this family. You know, the mother cannot stand you. I'm having, you know, I'm trying to do better for my life, and you're ruining everything, you know. So it's that kind of thing. He would rather choose the woman than he's like, you know, annoying, you know, the guy who's not, the brother who's completely destroying himself. He wants to escape with Lyric, you know. So it comes to the showdown, and he ends up accidentally shooting Lyric, you know, and she luckily, you know, that one really hurt. Like, when I saw it, I was like, oh, you know, please, you know, she got wounded, but, you know, thank God it wasn't fatal. Yeah, and it's really just like a heartbreaking scene, you know, like when you know, he, you know, grabs Lyric, Jason grabs Lyric, you know, he walks out of the house, you know, you see this kind of crazy bloodbath of all the, you know, bodies that Joshua took out, you know, and before the feds come in at the end, you just see Joshua like grabbing his firearm and just putting it inside of his, you know, mouth, you know, and before they actually come to the house, you just hear a gunshot wound. So you don't know what you know happens at the end, because it's never explained. Because after that, next ending scene is basically you see just Lyric and Jason. Lyric's fine, you know, but like, you know, she's with Jason, and they're basically on the, you know, highway, you know, basically escaping out of the hood, you know, and that's basically the end of Jason's Lyric. So as always on these reviews, you know, I love to talk about the soundtracks, you know, and why I talk about the soundtracks, you know, especially for these 90s, because music has changed so much from then to now, you know, and I feel like, you know, not probably since like the Black Panther, you know, soundtrack album that came this year, you know, movies in general, and especially like these black kind of films, they've not had these kind of notable soundtracks, you know, that were like custom made for these films, you know, because like what I'll go on to saying is, you know, like when like the Boomerang film, you know, with Eddie Murphy, Robin Gibbons, and Halle Berry came out, what was a big like kind of promotion for that film was the track "Give You My Heart" by Toni Braxton. And what they would do is she would go on, you know, they would promote the film everywhere. And then like when Arsenio Hall would have his TV show, he had them as musical guests. So it promoted the film to even in a bigger kind of level then, you know, like, well, you've got this new super like kind of, you know, film with black actors, and then you got the soundtrack that can just like, you know, appeal to kind of not just the, you know, the black and, you know, not just the minority, but like, you know, the general masses. So like with this soundtrack, again, I've not heard the soundtrack completely. There's some tunes with like LL Cool J, you know, Tony, Brian McKnight. It has like a slash between like R&B, and then you've got your hip hop musical stars. But again, a lot of the themes in this very much sound like the music in Poetic Justice. You know, they use a lot of good cue scenes. Like there's one great tune when I think it's Brian McKnight playing that scene when I was talking when they were at the rowing boat, you know, rowboat, and they're planning to escape. You know, it has that nice kind of emotional scene, like, you know, I want to leave, but I want to leave with you. So it has like just a nice kind of, you know, touchy symphony tune that just illustrates like both of those, you know, character, you know, like I love you, but I can't be with you at this particular time because I gotta handle business, you know. And then it's got the nice kind of, you know, hip hop rap music when like Joshua's there, you know, because Joshua is such a notorious, Bokeem Woodbine, he's such a notorious. Then when he's affiliated with Alonzo, you know, when in the back heist, they have that nice kind of raw hip hop music, you know, that just goes well with the scene. Even that scene when, like, you know, Bokeem Woodbine, he has his piece and he just smashes it through the window. I think he's playing one of these like hip hop artists like themes, you know. So it just patterns well with the scenes. Like one thing I forgot to mention, the director was called Doug McHenry, who I believe he produced a lot of the House Party films, you know, 1 and 2, and he also produced the Martin Lawrence directorial that debut Thin Line Between Love and Hate, so he was around them like kind of like black, movies around the 90s time. So like with that being said, like my general like thoughts on Jason Lyric. All right, when I've if you go back, I've done a I've done a review on Poetic Justice. Poetic Justice told that kind of like street kind of romance between these two young urban couples, Janet Jackson and Tupac Shakur. That film came out in '93, and this came out literally a year after. Because what happened was because I saw Poetic Justice actually in the 90s. I had the actual VHS cassette. So I saw it when I was like a kid. So I never really got it. It was only until I got older and I started to understand, oh yeah, this is actually a really cool, nice kind of romance film. So once I actually started to break scenes together and I watched the whole thing together, I was like, this is actually dope. Then like when I kind of watched this, I was like, sometimes when I put it on, I was like, this is a lot like Poetic Justice. It is Poetic Justice. No, I didn't say that, but it borrows I wouldn't say it borrows heavily from Poetic Justice, but I feel like it's one of them. Like if like how like Boys in the Hood came out, and then you got like a number of like films that kind of were influenced by Menace to Society is not a rip-off of Boys in the Hood, but if Boys in the Hood wasn't made, I don't think a Menace to Society could have gone to what it became, Similar to this, without Poetic Justice, I don't feel you could have got a film like this, because it touches of how romance and the street life kind of get very conflicted, what I mean? Like it's sometimes very difficult because I'm just keeping it 100, in the black community, and I'm not even just saying in the 90s, even in some areas today, like the areas where there's poverty and we're talking about the damn projects, it's very difficult for these kind of young black urban couples to actually be together and have a family, because some of the is even like some of the guys are like involved in this gangbang culture, and in their sense they just want to get as much women as they want, but they're not actually thinking about love, actually thinking about wife, kids. They're not thinking about that, and then on the other hand you may have the black woman who is just like he didn't go to high school, didn't go to college, is on drugs, and maybe just like the thrill of just men touching them, what I mean? And it's like it's and I've seen it's in areas heavily when there's poverty and there's not nothing to do, so where Jason's Lyric and Poetic Justice touched it on was like you had these two these two kind of rare cases of these two actually wanted to kind of do better for themselves. How Tupac Shakur was in Poetic Justice. He was a postman, and he was trying to get his music deal, but he wasn't wasting time on the street. He was like, nah, I'm gonna keep this job, and I know, if I put as much hard work as I can, I will get what I want at the end. So he's in it for the long run. That's what Janet Jackson is attracted to. He's not attracted to the one who's driving like a 99,000 car, who he like probably stole, like Tyrone Turner in Menace to Society. She ain't with that. Similar to how Jada Pinkett, she's more like kind of attracted to how Alan Payne is in this. He's patient. He's working in the TV repair shop. Which is, like I said, it's not the best job, but it's a job. He has morals, he has dignity, he's proud, and because of that, Lyric finds that very attractive. But in some cases where I feel like the Jason's Lyric is more kind of superior in the they kind of were kind of torn between two families, because basically the idea is in Poetic Justice, like it's more of like all the storm is held on like Janet Jackson playing Justice, like because she saw basically the man she was meant to be with, Q-Tip, basically like smoked in front of his eyes. She has bad trauma, you know, so she finds it very difficult to fall in love again, you know. And then obviously within this one, it's just that it feels like Jada Pinkett has had her maybe run-ins, maybe not obviously to a situation that happened with Janet Jackson, but she's had episodes before, and she's just saying she wants to flee. You know, similar to Alan Payne, he's seen it, he's seen what his brother's been doing, he wants to escape as her, and now that they're together, they can both do it as a team. The only problem is because of how her brother is, you know, church playing Alonzo, and Alan Payne's brother is, you know, Bokeem Woodbine playing Joshua. You know, it's like they can't let them escape. You know, you got these. It's like that kind of Romeo and Juliet thing. You know, you got two lovers, but the two families can't stand each other. You know, so I kind of love that kind of aspect more. You know, than how it was told in Poetic Justice. And like, you know, I really love the great scenes from like Alan Payne. And honestly, I gotta commend Alan Payne. Really took a good you know, he really brought his A game, you know, being the leading man, you know, because like I said, to be the first time you have to carry a film is a really difficult task, you know, and he passed that with flying colors. You know, I really love the scenes when he's like sleeping at night and he's got traumas of like where he had to kind of stop his father, you know, from kind of like, you know, taking out his mother, you know, and it still affects him, you know, to this day, you know, as like a man, you know what I mean, that kind of like, you know, waking every night, because, you know, they're still in the same house that, you know, where Forrest Whitaker met his demise. So that still wakes him up in the middle of the night, cold sweat, you know, the constant flashbacks, you know what I mean. And it's just great the way, you know, Alan Payne expresses that, you know, you really like, what I really love, like how he plays his character. He's very like a sympathetic dude, you know what I mean. You know, Alan Payne, you know, Alan Payne playing Jason, he just means well, and he's trying to do the right things, but with the stuff with his brothers doing, it's just making him falling into a decline, man. And he's only trying to like, you know, hold his brother down because, you know, he's family. But it just gets to a point where he's just gotta say, like, similar to how you know, Flipper in Jungle Fever had his problem with Gator, you know what I mean. Sometimes it's like this, so you know, you can't help someone who can't end up saying, looking in the mirror saying, you know, I want to help their self, you know, I want to like help myself, you know. And yeah, because what I would say is the scenes you know, with Jada Pinkett and Alan Payne, you know, the, let's just say, you know, the making love scenes, you know, very like steamy and heroic, but I feel they're very necessary because, again, this is someone who has been in love before, so I kind of, you can relate to that kind of passion when you really want someone and that someone wants you. Is very passionate, and I really love how they demonstrate it in these scenes. You know, it just wasn't like a quick, you know, hit it and quit it or smashing a dash. You know, it wasn't like that. This was legit to, you know, young urban lovers who couldn't obviously be without each other, you know. And it was so expressed, you know, like, you know, obviously the scene that it was in the woods, you know, that scene when you know, Jason's in the repair shop and Jada comes in from that storm, you know, them scenes, you know, it's like, I trust, like, after like, you know, being in a, you know, being when your heart basically belongs to someone else, you know, you can really just like be like, yep, I know what they're going through. This is LOVE. So yeah, man, Jason's Lyric, man, and a lovely 90s romance film, you know. I would actually put this on the same level, maybe even a slightly bit better than Poetic Justice, you know, because I just love how this is like a more romance story in a full circle. You know, I feel like it touches more on the kind of divide of the street. This done touches more of the street kind of you know, the street kind of life interfering with two young couples' lives. You know, like it kind of brings them down because they're just trying to escape, but the street environment, you know, the like the negative or negativity of like their siblings, you know, it kind of affects their what they want because they're dreamers, you know, and I love that more kind of like the story told in Poetic Justice. But I still love Poetic Justice, you know. It's like I have both of them together, you know, and it's like I enjoy them both. But I would honestly say, you know, after watching this again, I definitely have more taste for Jason's lyric, you know. But that, you know, that being said, man, like if anyone has seen Poetic Justice, they absolutely would love Jason's lyric. So guys, man, that's my review for Jason's lyric. Please, please let me know if you've seen this film. Let me know your thoughts about, you know, Alan Payne, you know, what you felt like, how his career went like, you know, because, you know, like I said, I saw him in this and I've seen him, I think he appeared in Perfect Storm. I know he's got his sitcom with House and Payne, but like, do you think he could have been like, you know, that level of a Will Smith or, you know, maybe a Denzel, you know? I don't know, man. I'll leave you lot, you know, to decipher it. And you know, what are your thoughts on like Jada Pinkett? You know, I will, you know, Jada Pinkett's on the rich team as far as I'm concerned. You know, hope she hasn't vacated. But like, you know, I'm always a big fan of like the Smiths family. You know, I've always loved her actress. I think she's a great, great actress. You know, great representation of our culture and that. But you know, let me know your opinions of them. You know, and you know, as always, you know, stay tuned for more stay tuned for more reviews just like this. And remember, when the planets align once again, Richie Rich will be back yet again. Peace. Two fingers.